Okay, so before we start reading, someone tell me what are the easiest parts of a sentence to find out? Those things that we always look for that we know. Miss Olivia?
Um, the easiest.
Yeah, the easiest ones. What do we know a sentence has to have?
Periods,
Punctuation marks, right? That come at the end. And what else? What is the other easy one? At the beginning. The punctuation comes at the end. What is it that comes at the beginning?
Capital letter.
Yeah, every sentence starts with a capital letter and ends with a punctuation mark.
Or try hard on spelling.
Okay, and spelling. Some people think spelling's easy. Some people think it's hard. But we're learning this week that there's something else that will help us decide if it's a sentence. And in this little story I have here, I'm going to have someone share with us. It explains what that is. Okay? So, Miss Summer, you want to read? Miss Summer, as loud as you can, please read our paragraph.
They can.
Starting with sometimes. It's okay.
Sometimes sentences are
tricky.
They can be hard to
identify.
They
need
to start with a capital letter and end with a period.
Punctuation mark. There
is something else to they need a
subject and
a verb. We will identify those today.
Thank you, Miss Summer. Very good. So what we're looking at this week, everybody, is you've already practiced with this, is what we call the subject and the predicate. And every sentence has to have one of these. It has to have at least one subject, and it has to have a predicate. Because if it doesn't have those, it's not a real sentence. So I'm going to give you a sentence now, or something that's pretending to be a sentence. You tell me if it has a subject, and you just say yes or no, and then you tell me if it has a predicate. Okay, you show me by raising your cones. Are you ready?
Yes.
Cones ready? Show me show me the cones in the ready position just so I can see them. There you go, Kevin. Okay, cones ready? Okay. Here is the sentence. Listening ears on. Listening ears on. Listening ears on. You ready? Dogs eat steak. Does it have a subject? In the sentence, dogs eat steak. Are we talking about something or something? Someone?
Yes.
What are we talking about?
The dog.
Dog. So it does have a subject. I put a check mark there. Does it have a predicate? Do the dogs do something?
Yes.
What do?
They eat steak.
They eat steak. So it has a predicate. We're assuming that since I'm saying it out loud that it has a punctuation mark. So is it a sentence? Dogs eat steak?
Yes.
Let's try another one. Dogs steak.
No.
What is missing? Does it have a subject?
No. Yes.
Raise your cone if you say yes. Raise your hands if you say no. In the words dogs steak, it would be talking about a dog. But does it tell us anything about it? So it does have a subject, but it does not have a, what's this called? Predicate. Predicate. It does not do anything. Okay, let's try another one. Amin-Ra is listening. Who are we talking about, Ra?
Ra.
Amin-Ra. Does it have a subject?
Yes. You just call me Amin. So I said Amin-Ra.
So Amin-Ra is listening. Has a subject. Is he doing something?
Yes.
What is he doing?
Listening.
He is listening, right? You got to make sure you use all of the words. So in just a second, we're going to underline our paragraph. Kevin, The first sentence says, sometimes sentences are tricky. This one's tricky. This one's like 5th grade. So I want y'all thinking. What is the one word that tells us what we're thinking about in that sentence? In this sentence, only one of these words. Which word are we thinking about, Kevin? What is it telling us about? That's what it's telling, but what is it telling us about? Sometimes sentences are tricky. So what is tricky? Sentences. We're going to underline that how many times?
2. 1.
Who says 1? Raise your hand. Who says 2? Raise your hand. Sentences is the subject, so we're going to underline that 1 time, and everything else gets underlined how many times? 2 times. What are sentences according to this person? Are tricky. Okay. Are they really all that tricky? No. Let's see if we can make him wrong. Okay? I need another reader to read this one. Miss Nia. Starting with they. Yeah, and the next person I'm going to call on has to raise their count. So be ready when I call the question.
They can be hard to
identify. They can be hard to identify. That one uses a pronoun for the subject. So what can be hard to identify? What word do they use for the subject? What is the subject? What's it say can be hard? They. So what's the subject? They. And what did we say about them? So all of that is the predicate. How many times did I underline it, Miss Nia?
2.
Thank you, Miss Nia. You may be seated.
It doesn't matter.
All the way up. You're in front of the camera. Next up, Miss Olivia. Can you read this one starting with they? And we got to go into the next line, so I'm going to carry my finger around with it.
They need to start with a capital letter and end with a exclamation
punctuation
mark.
Okay, so all of that goes back to what word? What word are we talking about? They. And we know they stands for what other word in that sentence? What starts with a capital letter?
The first letter.
The first letter of what?
Maybe I.
No. The first letter of what? What is the whole thing called? A sentence, right, Rob? So they stands for the word sentence. So they is our subject. It's a pronoun subject. And everything else is part of our what?
Part of our brain.
No, it's either subject or predicate. So what is it part of?
Subject. Predicate.
It's part of our predicate. Thank you, Ms. Olivia. Okay, everybody look up here.
Kevin, you're on my paper.